Today I'm going to be doing a demo of the MorphoMetriX software to measure anything you want from an image. Today we're going to be measuring a whale. So to get started, you should need to have Anaconda downloaded and the new environment created. I usually start straight from my terminal without opening Anaconda and then I can activate the environment I want in terminal. So conda space activate space the name of the new environment you created. And then you'll see that you're in your new environment when the name appears in these parentheses. However, if this doesn't work for you, you can always open up Anaconda Navigator, go to the Environments tab, click on this button next to the name of the environment and say Open Terminal. And then you'll see that same matching terminal appear. This environment is what you're going to open if you need to install MorphoMetriX or any other packages, but once it's installed, I type the command to start it, which is in the GitHub documentation, hit enter, and it opens. Here it is. So first, let's talk about the inputs. So for the GEMM protocol here, we're going to enter the animal ID, so let's say just whale 1, the focal length and altitude and pixel dimension. The focal length and pixel dimension are characteristics of the camera. The altitude is the altitude of the drone. Note that you can enter them here. However, the follow-up software to MorphoMetriX, which is called Collatrix, has an option to provide the correct focal length, altitude, and pixel dimension per image through a CSV datasheet, so you don't need to worry about necessarily these all being correct right now. The width segments is if you are measuring widths along a line. So for example, we measure widths of a whale along the length. So if this is the number of segments you're going to measure. So if this number is 10, you're measuring at 10% increments. If this number is 20, you're measuring at 5% increments. And then the notes section can include any notes you want, and the notes will be collated along with all the other information through the Collatrix software. So let's start measuring. Today I'm actually going to be measuring an image of a chalk whale that we flew over for a test. Here it is. So to start measuring, I hit measure length, and I'm going to name it WL for whale length. And then you'll see my cursor is going to change to this cross. To zoom, you put your cursor over wherever you want to zoom into, and then you scroll, and then you can move around the image through this kind of zooming in and out. So to get started, I'm going to zoom in to the head of our chalk whale, click to start a line, zoom out. Note that you can segment your line through just clicking once. You'll hit a point, and then so if your whale was curved, you could hit a point and then angle your line. If you messed up and you don't like it, you can always hit undo, and then that point goes away. And then you can scroll to zoom in, and you just double click to finish your line. Also, it's important to know that, so say if you mess this line up, it's already drawn, but you can always draw a second line and just name it WL1, and then all those measurements will be saved and collated. So now that we've drawn our line, we can measure our widths. So here you see the 10 lines at 10% increments appear. You should know that the widths are going to appear on whatever the most recently drawn length was. So we are also going to measure fluke today. So I could do measure whale length, measure widths, and then measure fluke, like what we're going to do. I could also do fluke, length, width, but I couldn't do fluke, widths, and lengths because then the widths would appear along my fluke measurement, which is not what I want. So the yellow highlighted line is where you should start. Just click to create your point where the line intersects with the edge of the whale. And then you just keep going, and you'll see that it'll keep highlighting the next line for you to click. And it'll alternate down the length of the whale. Okay, so now we've measured our width. And then the last thing that we're going to do for GEMM lab protocol is measure the fluke. So you name your measurement fluke, and then you just go from fluke to fluke dip, double click to end your measurement. And there you go. You have all your measurements. You can also measure area or measure angle using MorphoMetriX. Okay, so now we're done measuring. We're ready to export the measurements. One other thing to note is that whatever is in these boxes at the time that you hit export measurements is what's going to get exported, and then it doesn't reset. So I'll hit export measurements. It's going to default to the folder that the image came from. Hit save. It's saved. And then to say new image, let's say I want to measure this next one. It's going to look the same, but nothing in this box has changed, so you would need to change whatever you need to change in these inputs before you hit export measurements the next time. So there you go. That is how you use MorphoMetriX.